Yeah, so in the last couple of years, we've had more information produced than ever before in history. So if you think about that's how fast our world is changing. And the big difference is that now our world is changing so fast that our biological evolution can't keep up with it. So in the past, we could. We would evolve, and through generations, we'd be able to adapt to that change. But now the change is happening so fast that we get a few lifetimes worth of change happening every couple of years. So we've got to learn new strategies to be able to cope with that. And, people talk about change fatigue. So we're all tired of change. Well, I reckon if you've got change fatigue, you're going to be tired for a long time, because change it's just a new normal now. And we just got to accept that change is going to keep happening and be happy with it rather than keep trying to push back and resist it.
You look at this idea of disruption versus innovation. What's the difference in your opinion?
I reckon disruption and innovation are exactly the same thing. They're both about change, but disruption is when change happens to you. Innovation is when you make the change happen to yourself. And that's what we should all be doing. We should be proactive about change. So I'm a cricket tragic, Barry. And I'm old enough to remember the time when I used to listen to ABC radio every weekend during summer, listen to the Sheffield Shield, listen to the Test cricket, and I'm even old enough to remember when Alan McGilvray was commentating on ABC radio. And of course, like during the broadcast, particularly in WA, we'd have these bushfire alerts, on hot summer days. And I was always curious about it, because the alerts used to start off by saying, bushfire in the area, but quite a way away. You can leave, take your family with you, or stay and defend your property. And then, of course, we get another alert a few minutes later or half an hour later saying it's getting closer, last chance for you to leave. And then it gets to the point where it says it's too dangerous for you to leave. Stay. If you're going to stay, you have to stay and defend your property. And I reckon disruption's a little bit like that. Like, it's coming, and we know it's coming. And if you decide to stay and defend your property, you've got to be ready to do that. And many people are just like they don't listen to the alerts, they don't listen to the warnings, and so when the bushfire comes, they're not ready for it. And I reckon we should be, for all of us, we should be ready. We can be ready for change, and we can see the signs of disruption.
You refer to the delusion zone, so I'm assuming you're referring to people who just ignore the fact that change is on its way.
And the delusion zone is the difference between what you know to be true and what you think is true but actually isn't true. And for a lot of us, especially if we've got a little bit of grey hair and a few years under our belt, we've grown up with all this experience, all this expertise, and many people just assume that what we know, what's true in the past, is going to be true for us in the future. And there's so much stuff now that used to work in the past but doesn't work anymore. And that's the delusion zone. It's not the area, it's not the things that you don't know and you're aware of that. It's the things that you think are true but just aren't true anymore. And we've got to be lifelong learners. We've got to be willing to not just keep learning, but be willing to unlearn as well. Let go of things that worked for us in the past but aren't going to work for us in the future.
Can you give a practical example of what you mean by that?
Yeah, sure. So for example, like we used to assume that having a big business, like the strength of a business, the size of a business, how long it had been in business, was a real asset. But that's not the case anymore, because those assets have been, they're great. They did work for us in the past, but sometimes they hold us back from better things. So you think about technology, Barry. So some people will not want to upgrade their phone because they know there's a new one coming around the corner. So Apple launches the iPhone 11 and you go, oh no, I'm going to wait till the iPhone 12 comes along. But if you didn't have a phone at all and you look around at the world and go, okay, what's the best phone I should buy? You'll buy the latest phone. But because we hold on to what has worked for us, then we're not willing to let it go and get something better, even if something better is the best choice for us. Not to say that you should upgrade automatically, but you should assume that what you've got is not necessarily the best, and then move on to what is the best.
Just to come back to that idea of older workers, and they have all these skills and knowledge. They need to unlearn some things and learn some new things. What are the things that older workers, in your opinion, should harness to take along the path as they continue to adapt to the changes?
So I reckon the thing that older, experienced people have is wisdom. And that's wisdom is something that's very difficult to teach because it comes from experience. Experience gives you insights. Insights help you build good judgment, and good judgment builds wisdom. So definitely don't get rid of that wisdom, but be willing to let go of how you do things and understand. So the wisdom talks about why you do things. So I reckon one of the things that you should do is if you're older or more experienced or you're senior in a job, find a reverse mentor. So reverse mentor is where you find somebody younger and you get together with them for a coffee every couple of weeks and say, tell me what you know. Like, tell me what's new. Anything's on the table. There's no holds barred. Just tell me what's happening in your life, what gadgets you're seeing, what people are doing in terms of buying, what people think about, what do you think about owning a home, retirement, money, and you find some really interesting insights that way. And then in turn, you can share your experience and your wisdom with them.
There's been a bit in the press recently about robots and the fact that people are concerned that they will take over our jobs, essentially. There's more than 50% of people concerned about that. What role do you see for, I suppose that is artificial intelligence, isn't it? Comes into that category for.
Absolutely does. So when you talk about artificial intelligence, some of it is those physical things like robots and some of it is software. And it's a real concern. So and it should be a concern because the latest research from the Australian government says that in the next 10 to 15 years, up to 40% of jobs are going to be automated. So it's not 100% or 90%, but it's not 10% either. So there are a whole bunch of people who are going to be affected by this. Now, the two good things. So one is that it's probably happening slower than most people think. So we see the stories of these Terminator robots, and that is still science fiction. So some of this is happening slower than we think, so we've got time to adapt to it. The second good thing is that robots and people together perform better than either robots or people alone. So the example is chess-playing robots. The world's best grandmaster, with the help of artificial intelligence robot software, chess-playing software, performs better against either the software alone or against other grandmasters. And this is true across the board, that at the moment I reckon we're better together. So humans and AI together are better than either of them alone. So one of the skills we need is to become comfortable with AI and robots and working together with computers, just as we have become with word processors. So you in the old days when you had a secretarial pool who'd do all your typing for you, and then suddenly everyone got their own personal computer, they had to do their own typing, they got good at using word processors. And that's an example of people working together with computers. We just got to keep doing that.
So much to talk about. The book is called Disruption by Design. Gihan, thank you very much for coming in.
Thanks very much, Barry.